Welcome to the Reinvented Life with Pamela Chanel David. Do you want to step up your game? Pursue your dreams. Be the best version of yourself. The Reinvented Life is here to help. The Reinvented Life is about courage. It's about staying relevant. It takes grit. It defies gravity. It's about taking inventory of where you are today and where you want to go. Embrace change. Make things possible and reinvent your life. Call in with questions at 888-994-4995. Now, it's time to reinvent your life with Pamela Chanel.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Reinvented Life. I couldn't believe when I thought about this that we're actually entering into season 8, I believe. We started this show in the early part of 2020, so we're going on completing 4 years almost of this show with amazing guests, amazing topics, all geared towards and helpful to reinventing your life. Today, I have on with me the founders of AMP2 Media, of the Brooklyn Cafe, and the producers of this not just Reinvented Life show, but now Reinvented Life Network, Dawn and Freddy. And it's where it's all started. So it's very apropos that we start this new season again with another conversation with all of us and bringing forward all the things in your life that you can think about reinventing. And it really starts with today's topic, which I'm very excited about, which is that people need to, in their personal lives and in their business, stop shortchanging themselves. So welcome, Dawn. Welcome, Freddie, to the network that you founded and now the Reinvented Life Network.
I cannot believe it's been 4 years. 4 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
He's sitting here looking at me saying, is that true? Is that true?
I was looking it up on my phone. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
It seemed like yesterday.
4 years. We had just started. It was 2020, in the middle of a pandemic, and
Right.
we were remote.
Unbelievable. We were chit-chatting before you went on the air about today's subject matter. And I looked back at the 4 years. And, it's funny because I remember when I first met you, I said to Dawn, you see that lady? We're going to do something with that lady that nobody sees it coming. Nobody. And watch what happens. And 4 years later, you're doing it. You're producing other shows throughout the country as well. I am floored. 4 years. Wow. Congratulations.
4 years. And we'll be heading soon into year number 5. So that's something to really celebrate.
It's amazing. The network has grown. Sue did an amazing job today on Hello, Your Health is Calling with an incredible guest, plastic surgeon. That show's airing tonight on True Oldies Radio. It's going to be iHeartRadio app at 7:30 tonight, Eastern Time, which is really excited.
It's a great show. You came up with a brilliant idea. And you've helped so many people that you don't even get to see on this side of the network, the kids in studio, the things that you've taught me that I use every day on the Brooklyn Cafe show as well, which, it's just not enough words to express the gratitude of what Reinvented Life actually really means until somebody puts it in front of you.
Well, thank you, Freddie. And the same is true with the two of you. When the alignment is right, the alignment is right. And what I love most about the two of you is your vision about what things can be. And it's so perfect. I was thinking about this topic, and it's best as a conversation because neither one of you believe in shortchanging yourself. And so you're such an inspiration as well for so many that people can see possibility.
What do you mean by short change? What do you want to focus on today?
Well, today I want to focus on how often in life, and this can be in any aspect in one's life, and that's why this appeals to so many people. It can be in relationships, it can be in business, it can be in personal development, it can be in any friends, relationships of any kind are kind of first and foremost, where we tend to shortchange ourselves for the sake of others. And I know all of us have sort of bought into this notion of it's better to give than to receive. And it's something that we've heard since childhood and have passed it on as well. And our parents and our grandparents have always lived by this notion of it's better to give than to receive. What's happened though is that has taken a very literal translation for a lot of people. And so people give and give and give at the expense of their own health, at the expense of their own well being, at the expense of not wanting to ruffle any feathers. And what happens and what develops before people even realize it is they're shape shifting, they're people pleasing, they're not concentrating on their own development and their own elevating of frequency, but put others before in the notion that it's better to give than to receive. Truth be told, that's a misnomer. As one elevates in their frequency, they realize that the real way to give is to do for themselves first. And oftentimes people have been conditioned to see this as being selfish. So it's a shifting of a whole paradigm because you cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot give unto others as you may desire to before you have received all of these benefits for yourself and given yourself the value you deserve. Before we went on air, I started to have the conversation with Freddy that people mix up value and worth. And we have to unravel a lot of those thoughts because one is intrinsic and one is extrinsic. Or the other way to think about this is value comes from the inside, worth is determined from the outside. So they are not interchangeable, they are actually related to one another. And
So,
I'm sure you both have seen this in your own life and in your own business.
Chanel, so value is what you bring to the situation, and worth then is what you receive from the situation.
Well, value is an internal monitor. So, yes, it's the value you place in yourself determines your worth in the outside world. So, one cannot have a lot of worth if they don't themselves understand their own value. Again, before we jumped on air, Freddie and I were talking about confidence that people bring. And we have it as infants. We have it generally as toddlers and children, and even sometimes into preteens. But it's when we head into our late teens and into adulthood that starts to unravel because doubt sets in, fear sets in, all the shame sets in, the blame sets in. The minute life isn't going as one envision it, the first thing people do, we've all done it, is look as to the why. And once that blame and shame of oneself starts to set in, it erodes and starts to eat away at our value. So we tend to shortchange ourselves, accept less than we actually deserve because we're operating on a lower vibration.
I gotta tell you, um, when I was growing up, my mother sat me down and she used to explain this, and then I saw it in a movie and it explained it to me even further. Don't give away your shine. And I never understood
Yeah,
what the hell she was talking about when I was a kid.
yeah,
But she used to say to me, "You have a gift, and you have to take your bows when it's time to take your bows. And you have to express the contentment that you are different from all the other people around you. And you have to be confident in the fact that if you draw a circle, it's the best circle you've ever drawn. The best. And that's why in here we
yeah.
ask all the producers, are you the best? And if you say no, or there's room for this or room for that, then go home and come back when the answer is yes. And we've done this now
Yes.
for almost 5 years. It's 8 years. And we've always said the same thing. Your net worth is how you feel about yourself. And if you're confident about yourself, don't give away your shine. And I'm hearing this again, and you're giving this to me in a different version that makes a whole lot of sense.
I am so thrilled to hear the example of your mother giving you that because that isn't always the case. People aren't always given that information. That's jewels. That is a gem that you were given that so early on. And I wish, and part of what we can do is start to spread that value so that people don't, again, shortchange themselves. It is a recipe then for people accepting less, people doing less, and ultimately, instead of elevating one's vibration during their lifetime, many times they're diminishing that shine that you're talking about or that vibration and lowering expectations, lowering what they actually could achieve, lowering for themselves that value that then determines their worth in the world. So when we talk about stop shortchanging yourself, the practical results of that are going to show everyone in everywhere in people's lives. And if they start taking inventory of where they're at, they'll start to see that common thread of operating in that lower vibration.
I think we operate in a lower vibration because we feel that's what society deems, that we're never talked today with Sue about imposter syndrome, that we lower our
Yeah.
value because we've lowered our self-worth because we're not all these movie stars and we're not all these social media influencers. And if we feel in our minds that we're not them, then we diminish our value, our intrinsic value.
Well, that's exactly what this is all about. It starts with knowing at your core that you are not just enough, but you are more than enough. And you don't have to be a movie star, and you don't have to be a social influencer, and you don't have to be a certain level of a business person to know what your value is. And when you learn that without a shadow of a doubt, now you're going to bring your worth forward and you're going to accept nothing less than the frequency you are operating on. So it's a matter of stepping back, taking a pause, a reset, if you will, because the whole nature of this show is called The Reinvented Life. In order to reinvent, you need to know where you're starting from. And this doesn't happen overnight. This is a process by which one takes an active role in leveling up their value so that they have that confidence to come forward. And I'll give you an example in my own life. I lost the recognition of my own value for a long time. Now, from the outside, at a corporate career, was thriving, raising a family, everything from the outside, and how many of us have had this happen, looks perfect, looks terrific. In the meantime, what was happening to me? I was eating my way to determine what my value was. And the more I ate, what happened? The reverse effect happened. And so 10 years ago, and it's been an incredible decade, but 10 years ago, I found myself 175 or maybe even 200 pounds overweight because I ate and ate and ate and ate. And it was an emotional response to, and I bet I could draw it out exactly correlated with when my own value was diminished. So what you see today, the creation of a broadcast network and a media network and everything again has happened because I've had to relearn my own value. And in the process of relearning my own value, I come now with greater worth for all the people I coach and the businesses I coach and the network we're blossoming. It's because that value, that leveling up of my frequency, what actually is more aligned with who I am authentically and soulfully, I had to work on. This didn't magically just appear.
Well, I gotta tell you, we have to work, and then when we think that we figured it out, we have to work.
Yeah.
And you gotta keep working on it, but you can't overthink it. You can't become robotic.
Exactly.
You have to be yourself.
No.
And it's funny when I got divorced for the second time, I had kids, and I felt like a failure. I felt that I wasn't a good dad. I felt that I had missed my mission of all the things that I promised my parents that I wasn't going to be. And I went to see my attorney because I had to get an attorney to get divorced. And I cried in front of her, and she says to me, "Why are you crying?" I said, "Because I failed." And I'm not one of those people that takes failure easy. I've never done it in my life, and I wasn't going to start then. And I came to the realization that I was living what other people called me, what other people visioned me, what other people assumed that I was, and I was believing that Kool-Aid. And then I turned around and said, "You know what? You ain't seen the best of me yet." And now God has gifted me with all of these producers. I got over 18 of them, 19 of them, all around me. And she sees, they're all my kids. I also coached for 20 years. Those were my kids. And I wasn't a failure as a dad. My boys are still with me. My grandkids are still with me. I'm not a failure. That's definition. And if you buy into definition, you got to start all over again. And that's okay. But you got to get it right. And when you think you just figure it out, think again. Because this is an everyday adjustment. That's why when I first met you, it was like breathing again. I said, my goodness gracious, that's my life. If I had met you earlier, I'd probably be retired today somewhere without a care in the world, because you have the right plan. That's the right plan. Reinvent, keep creative, keep doing, and keep doing some more.
It's amazing when that light bulb, so to speak, goes off and we realize that we are actually in a contract, if you will, with who we are. We've actually been conditioned in a certain way to contract ourselves with our own life. And so when we are able to step back from that and realize that maybe that conditioned role, that we've taken on isn't serving us as well as it could? Are we as happy as we could be? Are we in as fulfilling of relationships as we could be? Are we as productive as we want to be? Are we as in purpose as we want to be? These are all the things that you don't have to feel, and especially as one gets older, don't have to feel like you're stuck. There is every way at the Reinvented Life, and I'm so excited to share every single day with my clients that they don't have to be stuck with what they thought, as you were just saying, their conditioned place needs to be. If something feels great that they've learned, terrific. But if it doesn't, it means that they have the freedoms to move. And we have to start with gratitude and how grateful we are to have freedoms, because that's not the case for everyone. So if we're blessed with having freedoms, the other side of shortchanging oneself is actually being the most we can be. And as we level up our frequencies, we're leveling up for everyone around us. So there's a compound effect. And the goal is we don't have to be relegated to where we think we need to be.
Do you think there's a difference between shortchanging yourself and humility?
Oh, there's a correlation between those two. Absolutely. Because that's a conditioning. We're thought that to be okay, we need, in most cases, to remain humble and exhibit that humility. And so, in the process of doing that, we're doing exactly the opposite of what Freddy just described, is that we're not shining our light. There's a difference between being boastful and bringing all that you can bring. And that correlation, Don, is the most important point that people have to be honest with themselves about. Are they being so humble just for the sake of being so humble because they think that's the right way to be, that they're ending up diminishing who they are?
Well, he's
I
sitting
gotta
here
tell
and he's
you,
looking at me and
Pamela,
we're
Pamela, I gotta tell
laughing.
you, when I first met Dawn, she told me for 4 years, no, 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 about working with me. And I've never seen anybody who is so humble as to what she brings. Her humble has humble. And she changes the subject, and I'm not gonna let her get away with it. But one of the few people in my life who really, really understands it, gets it. It took her 4 years to get started. And now she knows every aspect of this business and continues to today. I have to always remind her, don't give away your shine. Stop being so humble. And once in a while, it's okay to take a bow.
Yeah, absolutely. Not only do we need to take a bow, we need to be the inspiration for, the icons that people can know what's possible. So it's not a matter of boastfulness and ego. It's actually a matter of giving people that vision that may not see it in themselves, that they too bring so much to the party. People's wisdom, if it's dulled, are hidden treasures and hidden gifts that need to be exposed. So this humbleness is actually killing a lot of dreams. And one of the things we work on is bringing those talents forward, and everyone has them. We don't need to be behind the stage. We need to be center stage. And we need to bring everything that we have forward so that others can see in themselves what they have. Otherwise, there's a withering away of people's energy. There's a withering away of their souls and how they can bring more of that forward. There's a withering away of their spirit. And you can see it. We've all felt it in ourselves before. And I just am grateful enough that I got this understanding and now can be an inspiration for. I mean, it's my goal in life to mentor, to coach, to inspire others to bring everything that they have in themselves forward.
Well, we're really excited to have you back because there's no one better at reinventing your life and finding your soul's purpose and coming back season after season after season. And you've continued to inspire. You've had 3 shows under your network this season, which has been amazing. And I'm hoping, Sue picks up this sponsor that we spoke about today, because I think that would just elevate her to realize her true worth is associated with her value. And she's just amazing, Sue Kostick. But you are the leader of this network, which is, thank you to all that you've done. And you've overcome a lot of obstacles and a lot of hurdles. And if you can keep going and stepping back up, then you're an inspiration for all of us.
And that's just it. I mean, I've had my own moments, don't get me wrong, but we continue to have these challenges. This year has been about a physical challenge that I'm still overcoming. But whether, and this is what I want to end this show with, whether it's a physical challenge, an emotional challenge, a mental challenge, a spiritual challenge, partner with the right people. We're meant to be social beings. We're meant to be human beings as our human experience evolves, and not just doing the things. So partner with the right people, draw inspiration from the right people, and continue that process of reinventing and knowing that if something isn't working, you can take that pivot. I'm excited about this season because it brings with it even more opportunity than it ever has. So thank you, Dawn. Thank you, Freddy, for being amazing guests on this show and all that this network is going to bring. And to our listeners,
Thank you for tuning in to The Reinvented Life with Pamela Chanel David. Tune in each week so we can work and grow together to become the best version of ourselves. Keep striving, keep dreaming, keep working, and embrace change. You may contact Pamela Chanel at info@thereinventedlife.com.